Hey everyone, this is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology, and today we are going to take a look at the upcoming solar eclipse in the sign of Taurus, which is happening on April 30th. It's coming up pretty soon now, and the sun is also just about to enter the sign of Taurus, so seems like today is as good as a day as any to take a look at this and get a sense of what might be coming. So I'm going to look at this solar eclipse based on all of the 12 rising signs, starting with Aries and going around the wheel, and just giving you a feel for where the eclipse is landing by whole sign house and some basic things that you might start considering. I think it's always good to get out a little bit further in front of eclipses and eclipse season, although I'm going to limit it today just to the solar eclipse, and then I'll do probably a separate preview on the lunar eclipse in Scorpio that's coming in mid-May. But since we're not far off from this one now, feels like it's the right time to do it. The other thing that's interesting about this eclipse, and I'll pull it up on the real-time clock in a second, is that this eclipse is in a conjunction with Uranus. It's not exact, but it's very close. So that's what we'll do today. Remember, if you are new to my channel or if you've been watching it for a long time, always appreciate if you like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share your comments in the comment section. All these things help the channel grow. And then click the notification bell for updates if you do subscribe. That way you can get notified, get a little email sent to you, or maybe a notification on your phone when I go live. And as always, if you want to read transcripts of any of my daily talks, it can usually be found posted on the blog page of my website, which is nightlightastrology.com, within about 24 hours. So before we dive in today, you guys know I'm in promotional mode. My new course, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic, starts on June 5th. I am really excited about the new program. We've got more and more applications coming in each day. The program starts at the beginning of June. It lasts for a year. There are 30 classes on the year. You can learn more about it by going to the courses tab here on my website, which is nightlightastrology.com. Once you're there, click on that courses tab, hit the first year course. You can learn all about it. If you have any questions whatsoever as you are reading about the program, you can email us, info@nightlightastrology.com. What is ancient astrology? What is Hellenistic astrology? It is the earliest form of horoscopic astrology that was practiced in the ancient Hellenistic world. It bears a strong resemblance to Indian astrology, and is really the foundational practice that I think every astrologer could only benefit from adding to their practice. Let's say you already have been studying for a while, but you've mostly studied modern forms of astrology. Going back to the study of ancient astrology is going to give you some of the strongest core, like karmic analytics. I always like to use that phrase because it helps you understand the study of fate and fortune in a person's life. You're learning how to predict what kinds of patterns at what times in a person's life are likely to come up and for what reasons. And then we also are including, as we go, much of the wisdom of modern astrology, which is archetypal and psychological. How can we find ourselves in our own mind, our own behavior, and the development of our own psyches within the karma and fate or fortune or destiny path outlined by the birth chart. But going back is also helpful because we learn about the philosophy that ancient astrologers had. What is a house, a sign, a planet, an aspect, dignities, and where did these things ever come from? Why are they even a thing? Knowing that usually is one of the most important things in a person's astrological development, a student's astrological development, because when you know the answers to those questions, it makes you about 10 times more confident to use the tools of astrology sensitively and intuitively within the course of a reading. Anyway, you can learn more about it on the website. 30 classes on the year, 12 guest teachers, interactive group forum discussions with the tutoring staff that's there for you. You can talk to me year-round with questions. There's also breakout study sessions that we have in between units. So it is just a really supported and really well-developed program at this point. The webinars are live, but you can always participate remotely as well. So check it out. Make sure, by the way, that when you are looking at the options for signing up for the program at the end, that you notice there's an early bird payment. If you pay for the whole program up front, you save a good amount of money. There's a payment plan if you need it, 12 monthly payments. But then also, if for any reason you want to take the course, but you can't afford it, tell us your situation. Use the need-based tuition assistance. We still have a lot of those open and available for people to use. So please do take advantage of that. We're glad to make sure that nobody's priced out of studying something really cool like astrology. So that is what we got. Now let's put up the real-time clock and take a look at this solar eclipse that's coming on April 30th in the sign of Taurus, and just, get a visual of it. It's always helpful if you're a student of astrology to see the actual visual of the transit in question. So here is the sun, and there's Uranus. Currently, Mercury is there too. And we're going to speed this up a little bit. We're going to take it to the 30th. So here it is. You can see the two of them coming together in the sign of Taurus. I'm going to keep Aries on the ascendant here, but so they come together at about the 10th degree of Taurus, and on that same on the same day, you can see that the 10 Taurus is about 4 degrees off from Uranus and Taurus. So that's what I'm trying to say here. It's interesting to me that on the same day of this eclipse, in the background, we have the two benefics, Jupiter and Venus, conjoining in Pisces. That is also a very auspicious sign. So what I want to do now is just roll through the 12 whole sign houses and just offer a little bit, just a few words. I'm not gonna, because we're gonna be going over this in depth when the eclipses are closer at hand. We'll actually be doing, I'm going to try to get Raphael Ray here again. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's a friend, and we sometimes combine divinatory superpowers and try to read charts together. And I think we might do that for eclipse season if he's free. But anyway, so let's just run through it. And based on your rising sign, this is the whole sign house configuration that ancient astrologers would have used to look at your birth chart. And so you can get a lot out of that. And let's start with Aries Rising. If you are an Aries Rising, the solar eclipse is going to land in your second house. Now, that house is going to be the place of money and finances and resources. Remember, a Uranian eclipse means that the potential for a kind of breakthrough is in the air. The breaking of the mold or the changing of the guard, renaissance and revolution are key words for this Taurian eclipse. So you see this kind of shakeup around money, finances, some plot twist or some way in which you're doing something new or developing some new kind of resource. That is what I'm seeing in the air for those with Aries Rising. Now let's go forward, and we'll take, let's see here. We'll take Taurus and put it on the ascendant. And when you have a solar eclipse with Uranus in your first house as a Taurus rising, you're looking at themes of individuation, individuality, your own body, your health, your identity. What's changing with regard to the mind-body connection, how you are thinking about yourself, what you look like. It's very inceptional too, the urge or desire to start something new, maybe when it comes to self-care. These are things that are sort of floating in the air right now. But the key word here for Taurus risings is individuality, individuation, taking the next leap or step forward with self-development and breaking the mold. Those are some of the things to look for. Okay, so let's go forward to putting, having to switch a little bit there. We'll use this like this, and we'll switch a little bit. And now we've got Gemini in the 12th house. So, Gemini rising, which puts the Taurus eclipse in the 12th house. So if you're Gemini rising, it's happening in a very interesting location because the 12th house is often that kind of blind spot that we all have. So what lives in the blind spot, and how is your awareness of it or lack of awareness of it creating some kind of sudden disruptive or innovative change in your life right now? I love this for people who are suddenly learning or becoming aware of something that they weren't aware of previously that could offer you greater freedom, that could provide you with some important growth. That seems like a really positive potential here. Let's see. Closing some windows in the hopes that this will fix some things. Okay, there we go. I'm trying. By the way, if you've noticed that there's been some like little glitches in my stream, that seems to be because of the new software, and I also suspect Mercury's conjunction with Uranus. Anyway, so hopefully I'm fixing it as we're going. You can tell though with a 12th house eclipse that things that are moving in the shadows are ready to pop up and either disturb, disrupt, create a revolution, help us find some degree of greater awakening. So, watch for those surprises and, be aware of the potential for a little bit of a self-destructive impulse, or to be aware of things that are coming up and saying, hey, if you pay attention to me right now, we might be able to have um, some kind of breakthrough personally. And I think that's the benefit of the 12th house there. All right, let's go forward to Cancer Rising. Cancer Rising puts the Taurian stellium into the 11th house: groups, friends, collaborative efforts, allies, and resources that come from groups of people or allies. You think of something new stirring and awakening in that area of life right now. It has the feeling of excitement. Most of what happens in the 11th house, which is called the joy of Jupiter in the house of good spirit, is beneficial to the native insofar as it helps you realize or move toward the realization of your goals and dreams. So, I love this eclipse for Cancer Risings in terms of either new groups of people or new collaborative efforts or projects. Um, Something that is, it's about teamwork in a sense, or that there's some new resource that's becoming available to you through allies, friends, colleagues, groups of people, and things like that. A change to your social life. Those kinds of things look very exciting for you right now if you're a Cancer Rising. And again, what we're doing today is just meant to give you just kind of quick hits as to where the energy is starting to gather, especially as the sun is now just about to enter Taurus in the next 24 hours. So if you're a Leo rising, all of this is going to fall in your 10th house, which is the career house. This, to me, Leo risings might have one of the most exciting. Like if you're, I think most of us pay attention to what's happening in our career house. We get excited for maybe change or promotion, or, just we're always curious. I mean, if I had to categorize the top three things people come to talk to me about, job and relationships would be the top two. So, for Leos, you have the exciting transit of the new moon. So it's a new beginning, Uranian new beginning, breaking the mold in the house of career. Be curious to hear your stories and see how that's turning out. But that's the gist of it there. Sometimes it's disruptive, Uranus is, but most of the time, I think with this kind of an eclipse, especially with an exalted moon in the North Node, you get the feeling of things growing and changing with a lot of ambition behind it. So let's go forward to Virgo Rising. If you're a Virgo Rising, this lands in your 9th house. And we have the, let's see here, the Uranian signature is interesting in the 9th house because you can almost count on the 9th house new moon being about the development or cultivation of new beliefs, going back to school, learning something, finding teachers, the development of your faith, the cultivation or further development of something that you're studying, the topic of religion, maybe foreign countries or travel. And now with Uranus, it's like, well, those same topics are all being activated. There's some new chapter that's opening up in your life relative to those topics, but it's got this Uranian flair behind it with excitement, inspiration, breaking the mold, thinking new thoughts. A paradigm change of some kind comes to mind with Uranus in the 9th. So let's go ahead and move on. So here we're putting Libra on the ascendant, in which case we have the configuration of the new moon solar eclipse in your 8th house. Now, for me, the most positive potential here would be about getting out of debt or breaking free from obligations that you have to other people, or the 8th house is often about our karmic contracts that we're bound to with other people. So a Uranian eclipse in this place could suggest I'm free from something. Now, it could be a credit card you pay off, a loan you pay off, or it could be, a person emotionally that you are clearing some debts from. But I like breakthroughs around things that are owed, like getting more freedom around in relationships or business work, and finding that an agreement has been satisfied. Or no, maybe on the other hand, you could say, aside from breaking free of debts, the other benefit here might be new agreements that are being made, or new sort of soul contracts being formed that are providing you with some kind of Uranian breakthrough. The breaking of the mold that Uranus provides is coming because there's some new bond that's being formed, some new resource that's coming available from someone else, which is often also connected with the eighth. Sometimes things will die in the eighth house, and we will be set free as a result with this kind of an eclipse. Usually it's nothing tragic, but yeah, we'll look for that as well. Now, let's go ahead to Uranus on, or excuse me, Scorpio rising, which puts Uranus, the solar eclipse with Uranus, into the seventh house, the place of love and relationships. So here you think about breakthroughs around sexuality and intimacy, around love. With Uranus, it's interesting because I could see, Uranus loves freedom, and can be like oddly matched with the seventh house, the need for experimentation in love, for example. That sometimes leads into like destabilizing dynamic rather than the deepening of commitment. Saturn in the seventh is almost more enjoyable sometimes than Uranus, because Uranus is like, I don't want to be tied down. So sometimes, a new moon's solar eclipse with Uranus in the seventh could bring something like disruption in relationships, or a new chapter in relationships because of a breakup, or because of the need for greater freedom or exploration, or something like that. But you could also see this as sexual healing and breakthroughs around love and intimacy that are, coming and inspiring, or rekindling of the spark or the flame or whatever. So, but watch for that Uranian revolutionary energy coming through the house of love and relationships, for better or worse, around the eclipse. So that's where you can watch if you are a Scorpio rising. It'll be exciting for Scorpios to also see how things are shaping up with your eclipse coming in your first house in middle of May. So if you are a Sagittarius rising, this falls into your sixth house, which is a place that's often associated with conflict and hard work, as well as difficult and frustrating things that come up we have to sort of work through. For anyone who is devoting themselves to something, sacrificing their time, energy, effort, their heart, their blood, sweat, and tears into something, I like this eclipse insofar as here's something that might inspire you to throw your whole heart and soul into. It's going to be time consuming. It's going to take a lot of your energy, but somehow it's a work that's worth it. This is a place that is known for sacrifice and hard work. Uranus and a new moon would suggest some new form of work or sacrifice that's coming up. Now, with Uranus, it's hard to imagine that someone would commit to something that they don't have a lot of love or passion for in this case. So I'm looking at this and going, could this be that there's a great work, a great labor, something coming in, and you're now inspired to throw yourself into something, and you're willing to sacrifice the time and energy that it may require. On the other hand, could we see this as breaking free from something that has been frustrating, an illness, a nagging injury, a form of work that hasn't been recognizing you as much as you deserve, or some form of sacrifice or compromise that all of a sudden you realize, I've been a slave to this and I just need to break free. Could be something like that too in the sixth house. All right, so that is if you are a Sag rising. Would love to hear the Sag's stories with that one. It's a really interesting place to have such an eclipse. If you're a Capricorn rising, this is taking place in your fifth house, which is a house that's associated with the goddess Venus and with pleasure and creativity, the arts, children, and pregnancy. With a new moon solar eclipse with an exalted moon in that place, I could definitely see pregnancy as a potential here, or something to do with your children becoming really important, but with an aura of like excitement and innovation. The creative childlike quality is sort of in the air in the fifth house for Capricorn risings. I also could see this as a time of breaking your own mold and giving yourself over more to spontaneous, playful, creative, sensual energies. Not always as easy for Capricorn risings to do. So watch for that need for pleasure, creativity, the creative impulse to be honored and explored in from this eclipse going forward. All right, so we'll move along and put Aquarius on the ascendant. This is going to move that solar eclipse into your fourth house, place of home, family, roots, living environment. This is the kind of eclipse that I see when families are being made, or you're moving in together, you're just gotten married, you're starting a home, or you're buying your first home, or you're having your first child. It's a real shakeup around the roots. Shakeup, maybe in terms of where you're living or what your living environment looks like. Big shakeups in the family members getting married, a child being born while grandpa dies, that kind of turnover generationally. You could see something like that here. You could also see being free. Uranus, the signature of freedom from things in the roots or around home and family that are, maybe in some ways, dragging you down. So there we have it. Let's go ahead and move it forward, and that's for your Aquarius rising. In look for that revolution at the roots. If you're a Pisces rising, last but not least, as always, we're putting this stellium in the third house. Now, this is a place that is associated with the moon and was called goddess, and also mostly associated with the environment around us. It could be like your village in the ancient world, or your neighborhood, or just the everyday people and things that you do around you. So I look for change to affect your environment somehow, or the need to change your environment so that you can affect some kind of change in your life. I also would see this as revolution when it comes to the mind, technology, media, speech, communication, all of those third house themes that also in the ancient world, the moon is also associated with, as well as travel, any kind of meaningful travel. And for Pisces rising, I look at this and I wonder, like, what new form of self-expression or communication could be presenting itself this month. You guys have heard me say things like this before. If you're a Pisces rising with Uranus in your third, but is there a blog you want to write? Are you trying to write some music or write a book? Or, oftentimes it's about trying to speak or express something of yourself and communicate something. So some new, inspiring, maybe a little bit disruptive energy around you in the environment and the mind, the need to find new forms or vehicles for the mind, for expression, maybe some meaningful travel as well. Also, you could see things like siblings or people who are close to you, like close family members. Maybe something new is developing in those areas, although I would think of them generally as pretty positive. All right, so wanted to take us through those 12 signs and just give you just some thoughts about what might be coming depending on your rising sign and this movement of the sun into Taurus, which is happening. Let me just look at this over here on my screen. So the actual change of the sun into Taurus happens at about 10:30 Eastern time, 10:45 Eastern time, something like that. Today, April 19th, that's East Coast time. So by this evening, the sun is changing and you're going to immediately start noticing, well, if not always right away, but as the planets start ingressing into the sign of an eclipse, as an eclipse is about to happen and the moon cycle's moving in that direction, you should notice it. You should be feeling it. So you might start noticing an accumulation of planetary energy in that area of life that we went over today based on your rising sign. All right, well, that's what I've got. We will be back again tomorrow for more. Bhakti Wednesday will return tomorrow as well in the evening. Remember, always helps me if you like the videos, subscribe, share your comments, click the notification bell for updates. Check out those transcripts. They're posted usually within 24 hours if you need it. Don't forget to go to my website, nightlightastrology.com, because of the new class starting on ancient astrology on June 5th. And be sure, if you need it, you can check out the need-based tuition option if that helps you to be able to take the class. Any questions about any of it, email us, info@nightlightastrology.com. All right, that's what we've got for today. Take it easy, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.